Welcome everyone to the latest installment of the CMTC 20 Shifts Happen follow-up webinar series. And today we are happy to bring you our platinum sponsor, Alma, and they will be speaking about the top 10 reasons to love Alma. Let's count down. And your webinar presenters today will be Theresa Schneiderheinze, who is the Regional Sales Director for Alma. She holds an MED in Curriculum and Instruction and has served as a New Hampshire educator, digital learning specialist, and technology coordinator before coming on board with Alma. She enjoys hiking, cycling, swimming, making jam, and is passionate about supporting educators. And her co-presenter today will be Sarah Reed. Sarah Reed is Alma's Customer Success Manager in New England, and she holds an MED in Educational Leadership and has served as a classroom teacher, school administrator, curriculum coordinator, all before joining the Alma team. Sarah lives in Vermont with a husband and 2 daughters, and outside of Alma, she can be found biking, skiing, and hiking, much like her counterpart, Theresa. So with that, I will hand everything over to them. Please enjoy the webinar.
Thanks, Kimra. Yeah, you know, I have a slide with our profile again. You're going to notice some definite connections between the two of us, but welcome everyone to our webinar today. We are so excited that, you know, NHSAA as well as CMCT provides this opportunity for us to be able to share a little bit of Alma with you, as well as hopefully, if we have people on the line, maybe answering some questions as well. So as you can see, the agenda here today, it's pretty brief and straightforward. We've done the introductions a little bit. I just want to go through, and Sarah and I will talk to you a little bit about the top 10 reasons why people love Alma. And then if there's time at the end for a little question and answer session, we can do that as well. So Sarah, since Kimra did such a nice job explaining our bios, is there anything else you'd like to add at all to let people know about you and your position here in New Hampshire?
Sure, and thank you for that warm welcome. I guess I just want to add that I'm very excited to be working with New Hampshire districts and schools. You know, I hail from just over the river in Vermont, and I'm excited to working with all of you, hopefully in person sooner than later.
Yeah, that is great. And as you can see, as we have it up here on the slide, there are some strong connections here. You know, both of us being Vermonters, as well as having a good depth of knowledge around curriculum instruction and assessment. So,
absolutely.
Yep. So let's continue on. All right. I just want to tell you a little bit about Alma first. We are a mission-driven company that supports educators and students and parents, and tries, you know, our tools try to help connect that whole school community together. We are, one second, we're adding Jonathan back in. Okay. We build critical SIS tooling that helps improve the day-to-day school operations. And we really want to empower educators to help foster better student outcomes. We do this because honestly, in our mission, and it may sound a little bold, but we want to help create the greatest generation of educators. So in turn, they can help create the greatest generation of students. That mission, like I just said, can be a little bold at times, but we leverage a few different pillars that we kind of lay the foundation for our mission. And the first that I want to talk about a little bit about is our platform. We have a very powerful and intuitive platform, you know, that is modern. And it may be a little deceiving because the way you navigate and run through our system, it's pretty straightforward. You can hand it over to any end user and they can find the information that they're looking for. But that's just to replicate that we are a modern system. You know, we are a future-proof system. We're a little over 8 years old. And like I said, the design of our platform is to allow teachers and students and parents to be able to access the information that they need very quickly. So going on those lines, let's take a look at our dashboards for a minute. You know, our dashboards, depending on what end user that you are, will provide the information you need right at your fingertips. And you can easily move through different screens with just quick hyperlinks in between. So let's take a look here for a minute. This is an administrative dashboard. So no matter what who the end user is, whether you're an administrator, an educator, a student, it's all going to have a similar feel. So on the left-hand side, you're going to see those orange tabs, and that is a navigation bar that will take you to different sections of our platform. And that navigation bar is controlled by roles and permissions. So if you're a student, you're probably not going to see as many things as you see right here on my screen. A parent may have less cards as well, and the same as with a teacher. The top right-hand corner of the screen, you're going to see some icons with a little messaging envelope and a couple of double arrows in your profile section. That's going to be standard as well. So what really changes is the midsection of the screen. So here, as an administrator, I'm getting a look at the school-wide view with some important information here. As a teacher, I would see probably my lessons and assignments, as well as my schedule. And as a student and a parent, you would see schedule, to-do lists for both parents and students, as well as drilling down into seeing how students are doing in each academic subject area. Sarah, is there anything else you'd like to add to the section of the dashboards?
No, I think you covered it nicely. I think the one thing I do want to add is that, and it touches upon your earlier point, just of ease of use. I think that if there's one thing that I hear our customers commenting on regularly is just how easy it is to use Alma, and how intuitive it feels. So whether you are looking at the dashboard as an administrator, a teacher, a student, or a parent, it really feels seamless, and you can, easily navigate around the dashboard, no matter what level of user you are.
Perfect. So at this top end level, let's take a look at that attendance block in the top right or top left-hand corner for a minute. If I go to the next slide, you're going to see here this little animation. So these links are live, and you can see we're clicking on the attendance for the day. And from here, any one of your registrars or your front office people can filter through, look for specific students based on attendance codes, and then easily send a notification to parents on whether their student is, or if their student is absent for the day. And the parents will receive an automated message that will notify them to say, please, call the office and let us know what's going on with your child. So quick and easy, time-saving ways to really take a look at your school attendance and then notify parents as needed. We provide very flexible settings in our settings section. We're going to take a look at that, and just keep in mind as well, even if you need to make a shift during mid-year, and we all know that this has happened several times for educators in schools and districts this past year specifically, you can make some of those adjustments without impacting the data that is within your system. So let's quickly take a look at some of these flexible changes that you can make. So going back to attendance, we capture attendance, or we allow you to capture attendance by codes. And Sarah, for the codes piece of it, we're pretty flexible with, what codes can be used.
And in fact, you can add codes after the start of the term if you want to. And those additional codes will not affect attendance leading up to that point. All of that will remain true and the same, but you can always add a code. That was a very popular request this year. Many districts requested to add a code such as remote present. So they really felt the need to track students who were present, but who were attending remotely from their homes.
Sure. And in terms of that forward thinking as well, we added the option to be able to capture time entry with code attendance as well. So depending on the model that you wanted to use, you have that ability to be more in that traditional setting where if you were in school face-to-face, you would probably just use codes only. But if you were in a hybrid mode where you were having students working outside of the typical regular classroom setting, you could use time entry codes. And is it true, Sarah, too, that we actually allow the abilities for parents to enter attendance as well?
Yeah, we do. We allow the option for parents and students to enter their own attendance. Again, that's not the right fit for all schools and buildings, but it is available and has been nice, especially for our remote learners. The one nice feature of that is, as an administrator, you can set, you can turn that feature on and off. So if you knew you had to get into your system to run some reports and you didn't want parents and students having the ability to enter attendance, you can lock that at any point in time. So it is truly flexible, but you as the administrator have that kind of ultimate authority to make sure that you can do what you need to do at any given time.
Perfect, perfect. And then the other area that I just wanted to make note of for a minute here is capturing school attendance. So we know that that's important because that's reportable at the state level. We provide the flexibility for you to determine what period of the day you're going to capture that school attendance. And you can see in the middle of the screen some of the options that we provide. So it could be first period in the morning. It could be first record in the morning. It could be a specific period in your bell schedule. So you have that flexibility to determine when you really want to capture that school attendance for the day. Going along with that flexibility, and Sarah, I may leverage you a little bit on this point too, is around scheduling. We provide multiple ways for you to schedule and provide the opportunity for you to flex a schedule. So for example, where schools this year, we're going from in-person to complete remote. You could work your regular schedule and then add a schedule segment if needed. So Sarah, do you want to continue on with that piece a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think you covered it pretty well. The purpose of this of the schedule segment is to capture any scheduling changes that anyone who has worked in a school knows that those come up, they exist. And we really just want the ability to be flexible for our schools and not locked into one schedule, and that's how it has to stay forever and always. So essentially what you're doing is you build your schedule and then you add a segment schedule, which sort of just lives on top of the existing schedule. And it is very fluid and will not impact the way that the system works at all.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so going from flexible settings, the next area we want to take a look at with educational practices. We know that in this day and age, and even the initiatives that have been taking place here in New Hampshire specifically, schools and districts are at certain points, different points on the roadmap of going from traditional to more progressive educational practices. So whether that be standards or competency-based practices, even going a little bit further to have more individualized learning pathways for students. We help support schools with that. We like to say that, we'll meet a school district where they're at and then help support them to make the transition through. And I want to say this with a caveat too, that, looking at Sarah's and my profile, you would notice that we both have been in education before. Just note that over 80% of the staff at Alma has walked in your shoes. They've worked in education, whether they be administrators, teachers, etc. We keep up to date with the educational practices taking place and the changes taking place so that we can really be an ally as well as a trusted advisor for school districts as well. So let's hop into the practices a little bit. So we offer a traditional as well as a standards-based approach in terms of assessing, tracking curriculum against standards, as well as assessing against standards. And then we also have that traditional format. So listed on the screen here are just some targeted points that kind of coincide with both our traditional base scale or our traditional gradebook and our standards-based gradebook as well. So educators can easily navigate through their gradebooks. They have complete control over publishing grades and making them visible in the student and parent portal. And again, both of these gradebooks truly support the practices that are taking place within the school. So if we take a look here, you're going to see just a quick snapshot of a traditional gradebook. The nice thing about this, I kind of go back to old school in terms of this looks like the gradebook I used to use when it was paper and pencil years ago. So it's color coded. You'll notice on the left-hand side where your students are listed, there are email envelopes. So as a teacher's working within their gradebook, they can quickly email out to a student. They can also include a parent as well, or they can just email the parent. So all of the email communication is taking place right within the platform here. So a teacher does not have to go between two different technologies to be able to communicate while working in the gradebook. You'll see that things are color coded by topics, as well as on the right-hand side, having the category summaries for each one of the assignment types that you're looking for. Sarah, before I swap over, do you want to jump in on anything?
Yeah, I think, again, I think you did a great job of covering it. I think that the gradebook is, there's multiple views of the gradebook. One, that's one thing I wanted to just highlight. So if this view, if it's too much information and it's hard for you to see all at once, you can very easily in the top left corner or section of the gradebook, you can switch out views to make it easier for your, your own viewing preferences. I think it's very easy to navigate the gradebook, and the transition from where you make assignments and add details to your assignments, and the gradebook is also just a very quick click between the two screens. So I think that again, in terms of ease of use, that this is a really friendly to use gradebook.
Nice. And I just want to point out too, I don't have a screenshot of it, but we allow for teachers to create assignments that they can differentiate. So for example, if they're only assigning assignment to 2 or 3 students, they can do that. And what it does for them is it pre-fills in the grade column so that a teacher doesn't have to sit there and type NA. So it excludes those other kids and only includes the availability for those students receiving the assignment. So I want to switch views for a minute, and it's going to look a little bit different. Let's hop over here to our standards-based gradebook. So here you're looking at one view of a student, and you can see on the left-hand side the Common Core standards. We have that preloaded within our system already, but we have the ability to upload your homegrown competencies and standards in the system so that you can track and assess against what you currently have in your schools and districts. So as you're looking from left to right, you can see how a student is progressing on a specific standard or competency. And then if you come all the way over to the far right, we can take that competency and give it a mastery level. And then we can take all of those competencies and standards and roll it up into an overall class grade. Okay. What you're looking at here is completely customizable. So we're looking at, abbreviations, so insufficient evidence, emerging, satisfactory. You can use numbers, you can use letters, you can use abbreviations, whatever you're using to denote the different levels of student mastery on the standards-based side. You have complete control over that in the settings. Sarah, I'm going to come back at you. Anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think that the standards-based gradebook is really very versatile. So it's interesting to see the Common Core standards in this slide, because I would say 90% of the districts who use the SVG gradebook are really using their homegrown proficiencies or competencies. I think that all that hard work has been done. I'm sure that some of you listening right now have actually sat in on those, done some of that committee work where you are building your competencies, and we would hate to make you toss all that good hard work to the wayside. So we absolutely allow you and encourage you, in fact, to pull in your competencies or proficiencies. I also want to just comment that one thing, and this is just a little tidbit, but at the very top of the screen, you'll see that there's a box where you can show level colors or not. So you can turn that color off. But what I absolutely love as just a former educator is to have those colors on, because at any given point, I can look at all of my proficiencies that I have assessed against in my class, and I can really get a nice visual as to what percentage of my kids are approaching mastery, what percentage of my kids are not. And it really helps me to think about reteaching loops and differentiating instruction and thinking about what I need to do in order to meet my kids where they're at. So this view is for one particular student, but there is a view where you can see your entire class. You can't see them on individual standards, but in terms of mastery level, you can kind of see how your kids are performing. I think as an educator, that is absolutely invaluable. So I can't say enough good things about our SBG gradebook.
Excellent, excellent. And so behind the scenes, if I lift up the hood for a minute, you know, a lot of the conversations that take place around standards-based grading and, you know, competency-based assessment, et cetera, has to do with what method of calculation that you use. You know, many thought leadership, I guess they're thought leaders around mastery calculation when you're working in competencies and standards kind of drift away from averaging. And we provide options for you in terms of how you want to calculate that mastery. So whether it be decaying average, whether it be, you know, using Marzano's power law, if you want to use averaging, or if you want to use the mode of X amount of assignments or the most recent assignments, again, we leave that control up to you so that you're able to communicate student mastery level effectively to parents and accurately to parents as well. So from here, next logical step would be taking a look at report cards for a minute. So we provide you the opportunity to build your own templates. You don't need to ask us to build them. It's an easy process, and you don't need any coding background to be able to create your report cards. And you can have as many report cards as you want. So if we pop over to the next screen for a minute, here you're just going to see a little animation. This is our template design editor. It is a drag and drop component feature. So when you're making the layout, you're just dragging and dropping the components to where you want. And then you can drill into each one of those components to be able to determine what information you want to reflect or you want seen on the report card. So pretty straightforward, easy to do. Sarah, any feedback from current customers around report card design and building?
Yeah, again, this is one of probably an area that we get the greatest amount of positive feedback just in terms of ease of use. It's very intuitive, as Theresa has pointed out, and as you can see in the demonstration here, everything is just click and drag. To the left, you'll see all the available components. So you can or cannot include any of those features. You could have multiple class types. You could have some of your classes could be operating on SBG while others are still traditional, and you can include both of those in a report card. That's no problem at all. That's especially helpful for schools who are really just transitioning with SBG, and maybe they have a pilot class that is being run on standards while the others are traditional. You can do that with Alma and bake that right into your template without having, really with just a click. So I think that you'll find it's very intuitive to use.
Excellent. So the end result could look something like any of these three that you see up here. It truly can be custom coded, colored coded for your school colors, things like that. I also want to mention too, it just came to my mind when I was looking at GPA. We are super excited. Back in January, we were able to offer to our districts the ability to calculate GPA using a standards-based gradebook. So the accuracy in that method, some of our high schools who are really moving or are at that point of close to being to competency, competency-based completely, having that transitional period so that they can really report out on those things that their community is still asking for. So GPA, things like that, having that ability. Go ahead, Sarah.
And in certainly from where I sit, I compare GPA and SBG are almost apples and oranges, right? So you're comparing two different things, and we acknowledge that at Alma. We are very thoughtful and intentional with our upgrades. This was something that we felt really would help schools in their transition from traditional to SBG. And it's just something that makes their lives easier to have in place. Although in a perfect world, in a perfect SBG world, there would be no need for a GPA calculation. We have it there for customers who need it. And if you are more of a purist, you certainly do not have to put that to use. It's just there in case you need it.
Yeah, Sarah, that does go back to, our whole philosophy of meeting school districts where they're at and taking them to where they want to go. So very good. So another area that has been of popular demand, I would say this year, has to do with the LMS integration. So we're talking about Google Classroom. How does that interact with Alma as well as Canvas? So we're going to take a look for a minute and talk about Google Classroom specifically, but the same scenario would happen with Canvas as well. So teacher, and I think this GIF is partway through where we're going. But anyways, a teacher can work within Google Classroom. They can create their assignments. And as you can see, we're creating a tell me about your, I believe it's summer. Yes, tell me about your summer question. Teacher can ask the question, set a due date for the question or the assignment. And then once it's done thinking and the teacher returns the assignment, you're going to see that Google Sync coursework button at the top of the screen. What it's doing is it's pulling in the assignment, it's pulling in the grades as well. So all of that information is being pulled over from Google Classroom. So ultimately, one of our goals is to save time for teachers. So here is just one input of information that then can be pulled over into our system. Now, the next area that we want to talk about just for a minute briefly is around data quality. Okay, you have state reporting requirements, state compliance reporting. We have you covered with that. We have someone on our staff who keeps up to date with the changes at the DOE level around state reporting, and we'll make those changes behind the scenes for you. But also with the data quality, we want to make sure that you have the ability to bring data into our system cleanly, as well as export data out. So we have this amazing import tool that provides field validation, value mapping, and helps correct errors prior to your data coming into our system. So if we take a look here, you can see the mapping that's taking place. You can import student information. Sarah, what else is there? There's coursework information or course information. And then there are a few things that are on the horizon as well that we're adding into our import section.
We just added the ability to import households, which is really been a huge help for our schools. And that's really a new and improved way that we collect and store contacts for students. So you can now import that household information as well.
Yep. So pretty, what used to be a very scary thing, I guess, back years ago with importing or putting data within the system. I mean, ultimately, you want your data to be clean coming in. So we provide all the steps and error checks ahead of time before it gets into our system. And then the other thing I want to talk about around data, and this goes to the other side of exporting data out, is our spreadsheet data editor. This is a powerful tool on the back end that houses all of your data in our system. And it's almost like having Excel right in our platform. So let's take a look for a minute. So as you can see here, via the column filters, you can determine what information you want to display here. So we're looking at display names, email addresses, grade level, and phone numbers. And it works just like an Excel spreadsheet. So you can sort the information in columns as well. You can arrange them however you would like, and then eventually be able to export that information out. Okay. You have the ability to take a group of, whether it be students or parents, select them, and then message directly from the spreadsheet data editor as well. Now, I say that this is a very powerful tool because, anytime a change is made in the spreadsheet data editor, so for example, if I was changing a student's phone number, if I change it here in the spreadsheet data editor, it will also change everywhere throughout the system where that data point is living and located. So, Sarah, any other thoughts around spreadsheet data editor?
Nope, I think you nailed that. Just that, again, this is one of our features that customers absolutely love because it really puts the data in the user's hands and lets them work with it however they want. And it's just an easy export out, and you can do what you will with that data.
Right. And that's a great point, Sarah, is that we're allowing end users, schools and districts to be able to have access to their data. It's their data, they should have access to it, absolutely, whether they're importing or exporting out, okay? Now, the last area that we want to cover for a few minutes has to do with creating tighter communities around, your school environment. And we provide some areas where, we're bringing the community in together. So ultimately, you folks spend a lot of time and resources on an SIS. You want to make sure that as many people are engaging with the SIS as possible, okay? And that's where we're going to go to next. So we have a parent portal where parents can log in. There, like I said, they're going to see their user experience is going to look similar with the orange navigation bar on the left-hand side and the icons across the top right, but that information in the middle is going to be a little bit different. Now, parents can access their parent portal via, on a computer, on a tablet, but we also have a mobile app. This is a progressive web app. And what that means is our web app updates in real time as our platform updates in real time. So there's no need to ever see a little number 1 next to your app on your phone. It updates automatically. And then anything that changes, say, for example, you make a change in the spreadsheet data editor, it will automatically change in the parent portal in real time. Okay. So if we take a look here, you're going to get a view of the mobile app itself over there on the right-hand side with the little phone. And then you can see here in the middle section, the web version of this. Here's a parent view. They have 2 students in the system here. They can see the week in review. If there were assignments in there, they could drill into there a little bit further. They can check on students' attendance as well. And then file cabinet, as well as Alma Start online registration and re-enrollment tools. You're going to see that in here as well. And then just, within the system here, from a parent's perspective, they can easily email a teacher that their child may have, or a group of teachers as well. So again, for a parent, easy access to be able to communicate when they're right in the platform. Sarah, do you want to take it over from here at this point? Because we're going to move more into your realm.
Sure. So Navigator is a new tool that we just launched, and we're very excited to share this with prospective customers, because really this is kind of the one-stop shop for onboarding. So when I say onboarding, what I'm referring to is when you decide that you are ready to move forward with Alma. It's everything that you do, with our guidance to get you set up and to have you go live with Alma. So this is essentially, Navigator is essentially our project management tool. Once you are a customer, you will be given a Navigator login. You also have the ability for this to live in your that left-hand navigation bar that Theresa had shared with you. And essentially what this is going to do, it's going to walk you through all of the steps that we have outlined for a successful onboarding. You can see across the top that there is a progress bar. Again, that is real time as well. So as you complete tasks, that progress bar will shift, and ideally it will be completed. It will be full by the time you have set your go live date for. So this is a really, really fantastic new tool that we're very excited about. When you first log into Navigator, you can establish your onboarding team. So you can say, out of the entire district, here are the 5 people who are going to be working on onboarding. You can also assign tasks to those 5 people. You can set deadlines, and you can rest assured that you're not going at this alone. Part of our agreement with new users is that you're assigned a case manager, somebody like me. And not only do you have access to Navigator, but I do too. So I will be logging in to your Navigator site and checking in on your progress, and making sure that if you have questions that I answer those questions. There's a section in Navigator where you can there's a notes section. So you could write a note to your other teammates, or you could write a note that I would see. And then when we check in, we can make sure to cover those points. But if you see the numbered list to the left, the first one is Welcome to Alma. The second is Setup Wizard. When you click into those numbers, there's a series of tasks. And you literally just, as you complete those tasks, you mark them off. When you click into each task, you'll see that this is just one view, but what you'll see is it's going to tell you everything that you need to do to complete that task. Embedded into that section, if there are study guide links, so our study guide is kind of our help docs. So we link any pertinent study guide doc into that page, as well as tools like an import template. So if you're going to use an Alma template to import students or classes or courses, we would have everything at your fingertips. One thing that is my favorite, or a couple things that are my favorite, not only does it list the task deadline, but it's also going to give you a priority level. So there are some tasks that you can wait to do until after school starts. Transcripts is one of those, right? So we like to allow users the freedom to wait until after school has started, but we do say you should work on your transcripts probably within, the first month or so of school starting in the fall. There are other tasks, however, like importing your staff that have to be done before school starts. So you'll notice that there's a priority tab, as well as an estimated time to complete the task. So we really have given you our best guess, educated guess, not just a guess, but we've told you about how much time it should take you to complete that task. So I think there's 13 to-do items, and within each of those to-dos, there's a series of things that you need to complete. It really does make that onboarding experience seem organized, efficient, and transparent. So everybody knows exactly what's happening and when. I think it's safe to say that it's transformed onboarding at Alma.
Absolutely. I mean, Sarah, I'll be honest with you. We didn't let out the secret too, that prior to coming to Alma, that we were Alma end users. And a few years back, in the SIU I worked for, we went through the onboarding process, but Navigator hadn't been created at the time. So there was a little bit of a mystery as to, okay, do we have these steps taken care of? How many more things do we have to do? And I know from my end, when this tool was released, a little over a month or so ago, I was ecstatic to know that there would be this much visibility in terms of the progress of onboarding. So basically, Navigator is demystifying all of those beliefs of, oh my gosh, it's too hard to onboard, it's too hard to migrate data, things like that. We've taken that away. We pulled the curtain back to be able to show schools and districts that it isn't that difficult, and we're going to walk with you every step of the way.
We actually just had a new district sign on, and we were blown away. We were watching from behind the scenes as employees of Alma, and throughout the day there were multiple chats that we said, this district, they're already 3 steps through, they're already 4 steps through, because it was so quick and easy. And it really changes the experience. What used to take 2 months to sort through and lots of back and forth communication is really happening in just a couple weeks. So we're very excited about it.
Excellent, excellent. So let's shift gears for a little bit here and talk more again about your role in the support that we provide customers that are onboarded. Okay.
Sure. So once you are onboarded, you officially leave, actually a little bit before that, but you would leave somebody like Theresa's hands, and Theresa would turn you over to somebody like me. Again, my role is customer success manager. We really are flexible and responsive to your needs as a customer. If you are feeling like you need more support, we can have weekly meetings for the first few weeks that you're on board. The goal is to eventually push you out to every other week, then every month, then maybe we check in every few months, but we guarantee that we have a level of support for the first year and a half, really, that you're on board. But again, if you're somebody who feels like you need more, we always work with you. We have, we can set up phone calls, we can set up check-ins remotely. And also, once life gets back to normal, we do guarantee that as a customer success manager that we will, come out and be on site with you 1 or 2 times a year. In addition to me, you also have my whole team behind me. We call that our customer engagement team. They are available via our online support channel 5 days a week from 8 in the morning until 8 in the evening Eastern time. They are incredibly responsive, and I think our average response time is 9 minutes or less. Sometimes that is sometimes it is you'll find that it's more than 9 minutes, but in general you can get somebody at Alma pretty darn quickly. You can always reach out to me as your customer success manager. But my day is filled with meeting with customers, and sometimes I'm on site and sometimes I'm in team meetings. So though I'm always happy to respond to questions from my districts, the best bet is to email in through support, and you can get an answer right away. We really do work in the beginning when you are onboarding to lay out kind of that customized training plan. So what is it that you need as a district? How do you want to scaffold the level of support? Do you want trainings in person? Do you want trainings, online? Do you want a kind of a mixture of the two? And who do you want to participate in those trainings? So it's very, very flexible, responsive, and we are always, just like if you were our students, we differentiate to meet your needs.
Excellent, excellent. I just want to call out too, Sarah, you made reference to the communication piece. We allow any staff member, so it could be a teacher during their lunch period who has a question, they can log into Alma, use our live chat feature to send that question to our CE team. So I just want to make sure and emphasize the fact that we're empowering educators to solve their questions and not have to go to a point person in the building who would then have to turn around and submit a ticket. So we want people to interact that way.
And we make our chat feature very accessible. So it is available on any single page that a teacher may be working in. So right now it is report card season. And so I can tell you just from working in, I'm in and out of our online support thread all the time. And we're getting lots of teachers who are working in their gradebook for report cards. They click the icon and that brings them right to the chat feature. So it is very accessible at all times to your teachers, to your administrators, to anybody who might be using that system.
Sure. And it's great. Sarah does a wonderful job, supporting all of our customers. So great approach that we use here, and just make it personalized so that we're meeting the needs of our end users. The last area that I wanted to talk about, we hit the top 10 right now, but we have a bonus, I want to say top 11 now, in terms of a tool that's coming out in the near future. And we're referring to that as Data Lab. And Alma's Data Lab lets you answer complex questions about multiple dimensions of school operations. So you can take multiple pieces of data and compare them with each other and to produce real-time metrics, and then be able to share that insight through visualizations and dashboards. So, you could have a subset of one set of data around special education students and put that up against, another data set to make some comparisons. So, or maybe it is the number of students graduating or not graduating, passing a certain course that is then being compared to free and reduced hot lunch, or other data points that you really want to pull into this. So we're super excited about this piece that is coming soon. Anything else you want to add to that, Sarah? I just wanted to put the teaser out there that it's coming eventually. But not
I think it's just another way for particularly your administrators or any of your users in a system who are focused on data. But as a former school administrator, this would get me super fired up, because at any point in time, I could say, I really want to compare my free and reduced kiddos to literacy scores in my building across grade levels. Or, as Theresa pointed, any data sets, and you build your own individualized dashboards, and you can monitor that on the regular. So And it's not just data in a CSV file. It is a very visually appealing display of that data. So you can really see, how are my kids performing in my building today? So yeah, we're really excited about it. And I think that it's something that is going to be very, it's going to get a lot of use once it has been, unrolled.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sarah, for that. So we're coming to the end here. You can see our contact information up here. If you're interested in contacting us, please feel free to reach out. And we want to thank you for your time. It's been a great pleasure to spend this little section of time with you and let you get a glimpse about Alma.